Welcome back to Late Night. We're here at Don Johnson. Kenan Thompson is both one of the warmest people you could ever hope to work with, but I also always found it frustrating as well. The guy never misses. Every take, he is just pitch perfect. And you watch this year what he's doing at SNL. He's filming with you all week. He's coming back to SNL without rehearsal, nailing it there. Are you as impressed with Kenan as I am?
Truly, this is not just actor gush stuff. This is doing a show like this is not. Let's just face it; it's not what you would immediately expect Don Johnson to be doing, and it was a little bit of a risk that me coming in and taking on this kind of a part and stuff, and frankly, Kenan is such a pro that he just, he basically just catches me and says, "Oh no, you good?" Props me back up. Says, keep it going. And I think I've actually developed a kind of a thing here, and it's joyful to come into work every day and laugh, and we laugh, and I got Kenan's funny bone, and Chris Redd too for some odd reason, and. Maybe it's just because I'm the crazy white guy. I don't know.
It's nice. It's nice to know that still has some currency to be a crazy white guy.
Yeah. Well, it's about the only thing we really can own.
So let me ask you this, because you also had incredible chemistry last year. For my money, the best show. I guess now it's 2 years ago. Again, same thing as you. Corona's mushed my brain. But you and Regina King were so good together. In Watchmen, that must have been an incredible thing to be a part of.
It really was. The funny thing about Watchmen is that Damon Lindelof, who conceived who took the original source material of Watchmen and made this masterpiece. Basically, he wrote me the most gushing, loving letter that you could ever get, and of course. If you want an actor to do anything, you just send him a letter that's like this and telling him, he's basically the greatest thing since sliced bread, and we'll do anything. And and he, by the way, I think I gave him one of his first jobs, if not his first job. He was on my writing staff, and he asked me if I'd come and do him a favor, and I said, yeah, I'd be, let me read it, and I read it, and he wouldn't tell me anything more about it. I had no idea I was a white supremacist. I had no idea that my grandfather was a white supremacist. I mean, that was a surprise to all of us. So anyway, I went down there, and kind of simultaneously, I was shooting Knives Out with Daniel Craig and that whole great cast up there in Boston. So I was going back and forth between Boston and Atlanta. It was a very fertile time, Seth.
That's nice. It's nice that you had your fertile time right before all of us had to stop doing anything.
Yeah.
That's good. It's good timing. You talk about how sometimes a little sweet talking is helpful for actors. You were so great in Django Unchained, Quentin Tarantino movie, and I heard tell that he might have been sort of a bigger fan of your work and more knowledgeable of it than even you were. Oh,
well, he's more knowledgeable of everyone's work,
right?
Because Quentin is a walking film historian. And before I got the part, we were at one of these joints in L.A. somewhere, and for an after party of some sort. And he walked up to me and he said, "You know what I just loved you in? I just loved you in this movie that you did." And I said, "That's great, but I didn't do that movie." He said, "Oh yes, you did that movie." I said, "No, I've never heard of the movie. I don't know the movie. I've been in the movie." He said, "Oh no." And he started to tell me the story of the movie and name the people that were in the movie and the DP and the director. And I went, "Oh yeah, I was in that."
That's fantastic.
It was absurd. I forgot,
Yeah, well, it just speaks to the breadth of your career. You got a couple in there that you didn't even remember.
There's a few of them I haven't even seen.
Your daughter Dakota is obviously an accomplished actor in her own right.
Who is that?
Dakota. We'll send you clips. She's been on this show.
The movie star Dakota.
Yeah. And let me just say, such a fantastic talk show guest. We always love having her here. She is just unique and wonderful. But I wonder, does she come to you, at this point in her career and ask for advice, or is that something that happened decades ago?
That bus left.
Yeah.
That bus left. She doesn't need any advice from me. I mean, the funny thing about her is we have a rule in the family that, if you stay in school, you get to stay on the payroll. So if you go to college, you get to stay on the payroll. And towards the end of high school, I went to her and I said, so do you want to go visit some colleges or something like that? And she went, oh, no, I'm not going to college. I went, okay, well, you know what that means. I mean, you won't be on the payroll anymore. And how are you going to manage it? She said, don't you worry about it. And I said, oh, okay, well, what do you got in mind? She said, just 3 weeks later, she had nailed down that part in David Fincher's The Social Network, and the rest is, shall we say, cinema history. So no, she doesn't really call me for advice. She calls me on to say that, gosh, I would see you, but I've got 3 pictures that I'm shooting at the same time.
Well, I think we all hope one day our kids are successful enough to not have time to call us.
But she's gainfully employed. And Seth, that's a great day.
That's all you can ask for. I look forward to that day myself. Hey, Don, this has been an absolute delight talking to you. It's equally delightful seeing you and Kenan do your thing. Thanks so much for making time for us today.
Oh, man, it's a joy for me to be here. Thank you so much.
Kenan airs Tuesday nights here on NBC.